What we see is we see a lot of resources being produced at this point. You know, whenever there's something that becomes on the agenda, we see lots of people promoting resources, and we're not saying that those resources are not good and not worthwhile. I have to make that really clear. But what we feel very strongly about is that for something like this, which is actually a societal shift that we're aiming for in terms of education here, we've got to change behaviours, we've got to change attitudes and values, and that doesn't happen through a good resource. That happens through a meaningful curriculum, the teachers knowing how to engage with that, and then how to deliver that effectively through their pedagogical approaches. And then comes the resources, then that fits in. So what we wanted to do was show that actually for this to happen, you've got to take into account all those 8 elements of the report, at least, in order to make this work. And it's a long game, and we know that there's a tension there because we need urgent action. So it was about trying to drive a cultural shift, a really embedded, meaningful shift, but at the same time acknowledging that we need action, and children particularly need to feel that they are doing things. So while we have our days that are committed to sustainability or climate change education, they're not going to be the things that really change it. They might enable those young people to feel like they have some autonomy and some power and agency in this, which is important, but that needs to be coupled with how we are dealing with a curriculum, and how we're engaging with that as educators. And it goes far to say, you know, some of the people we had in the working group were from early years, which is the starting point of this, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, but also people in higher education. And I think that's where I'm located. This is one thing I'm trying to develop in our institution. So the principles of what we have outlined are applicable to any educational setting, and also people who are dabbling in that space. So where we have industry and business, who I work very closely with, the world's largest chemical company, they don't understand education because it's not their thing. They know what they think they want to do, and what I've done is acted as a broker in that. So what this report is also doing is saying to the people who are wanting to support schools, you need to do this in a way that actually meets the needs of that particular school and those learners, or that setting, not just here's something that's off the shelf that will be a one size fits all.
Yeah.
And I think just to add to that, Leigh, I think people underestimate how hard it is to create change in schools. It's incredibly difficult, and it's not just implementation of a new curriculum or some resources. The whole change piece in schools is very difficult for teachers and educators. And so quite often what we find is this outside in view of what should be happening in schools. And I think Leigh and I have tried to take an inside out view of both being practitioners and teachers who have enacted change within schools.